Hello class, we're about to start section 1.4, Graphical, Numerical, and Symbolic Significance of Slope. Example 1, consider the equation y equals 3/5 x minus 7. Fill in the table of values for this equation. So we're substituting these values in for x and get y. So if we put in 0 for x, that will give us negative 7. And then if we put in 5 for x, that will give us negative 4. We substitute in 10 for x, that would give us negative 1. And if we substitute in 15 for x, that would give us 2. And finally, if we substitute in 20 for x, that would give us 5. Now we want to find the slope. Now remember, this equation here, remember we've done this before, where you have the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b. Whenever y is by itself, the slope is always the number connected to x. So our slope here would be 3/5. Now it says, where does the slope appear in the equation? Just like we said, it's multiplied by x. And it's also considered to be the slope. Now, what is the y-intercept? That's when x is 0. Whenever x is 0, whatever the y value is, that is your y-intercept. So we will write that as an ordered pair of 0, negative 7. It says, where does the y-intercept appear in the equation? It appears at the end by itself. And we also commonly know that as our b. So now, it says slope-intercept form. When a linear equation is solved by y, we say that it is in slope-intercept form, which we stated earlier, because the slope m and y-intercept appear in the equation, which we have here, y equals mx plus b. Now we go to page 2. It says using slope-intercept form to graph a line. Step 1, solve for y and get the slope-intercept form. Step 2, plot the y-intercept. Step 3, starting at the y-intercept, count the rise and run to find another point. And step 4, draw the line through the 2 points you have plotted. Okay, so now, example 2, determine the slope and y-intercept for the linear equation. Use the slope and the y-intercept to hand sketch the graph of the equation. So the first thing we need to do is get y by itself. Now we have 2 times this parenthesis here equals 8. We could divide each side by 2. These 2's will simplify out, and we will have y minus 3x is equal to 4. Now we can add 3x on both sides, and we will have y equals 3x plus 4. Now we have this in slope-intercept form. We have y by itself, so our slope is multiplied to x, so our slope is 3. And then our y-intercept, we can write that as an ordered pair. Our y-intercept is 0, 4. Or you could write b equals 4. So now, this is what we would do. First thing we would do is plot 0, 4. So we would plot 0, 4 here. And then we would take our slope. Now remember, our slope is rise over run. So we could write this off to the side. This slope is really 3 over 1. Our rise is 3 and our run is 1. So from this point, we will rise 3. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and we'll run 1. So that is our next point. Then we can go from here. We could say 1, 2, 3, and run 1. Now, if we want to create another point, remember, since this is positive, if we made 3 negative and 1 negative, it would still give us a positive 3 answer. So what we could do is our rise could be 3 down, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the left. Now we need to connect those points. And I took the liberty of connecting those points with this line to make it as straight as possible. So this is the graphing of the equation using the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, now we go to this next page here. On this next page, it gives you all the TI-84 calculator instructions. Now what you could do, you could read this page at your leisure, and if you want to see the video for this page, you could type this in on the web and you will get the visual or video demonstration of how to put this in your calculator. Now we are at example 3. It says determine the sign, positive or negative, of the constant m and b for the y equals mx plus b form of the equation. Okay, now when you look at example 3, remember going from left to right, it tells you the slope. This line is going down as we're going from left to right. So first of all, we know the slope is negative. And we could say because the line is decreasing. Okay, next, now we look at our y-intercept. Y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Now, as you see here, the line is crossing the y-axis where y is negative. So then our b, or y-intercept, is negative. And that's because the y-intercept is below the x-axis. Okay, now we go to example 4. It says find the equation of the line shown in the graph. Okay, now the first thing we should be able to find with ease is the slope. Now we have an exact point here, an exact point here. So what we could do is our rise over run. So we would go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we went up 6. Let's write this out. Our slope, our rise would be 6. Now our run, we will go to the left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now since we went to the left, that means our run is negative. So our slope is a negative 7. So our slope here would be 6 over negative 7. Okay, now we have our slope. Now what we need is our y-intercept, and we could just write down the actual number here. Where the line crosses the y-axis, we would go 1, 2, 3. So our b would be 3. Now we have our slope, we have our y-intercept. So we could write out our answer as y is equal to a negative 6/7 x, because we know that's where the slope goes, plus 3. Now remember, this is in conjunction with the formula for y equals mx plus b. So this right here is our final answer. Okay, now we scroll down. It says example 5. Are the lines x plus 3y equals 5 and negative 3x plus y equals 8 parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Show all work. Now what we need to do is this here. All we need to do is to get y by itself so we can determine the slopes. So with this first equation, x plus 3y equals 5, we can subtract x on both sides. We add 3y equals negative x plus 5 and divide each individual term by 3. So we have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5/3. Now for the second equation, we have negative 3x plus y is equal to 8. We will add 3x on both sides, and we'll have y is equal to 3x plus 8. So this slope here is 3. This slope here is a negative 1/3. Now they are opposite reciprocals, so our answer here would be perpendicular. Or you could write it with the symbol, the perpendicular symbol. Either one of these would be acceptable. Okay, now we scroll down here to the next page. It says fill in the following tables for 3 linear equations. Now I'm not going to go through this step by step. You could just put this actually in your calculator, or you could do this by hand. This will give you -7, -4, -1, and also 2. Here this will give you 4, 3, 2, and 1. And finally we will have -1, 2, 5, and also 8. Now, we can also do the slope here. Remember, the slope is always rise over run. We know our y is our rise and our x is our run. So we could do this. The difference between these two here, the -7 and 4, and -4 is 3. Then the difference from 0 to 5 is 5. So when we write this as a slope, this will be the slope is equal to the rise is 3 and the run is 5. And we could do the same thing here. To go from 4 to 3, that would give us, we're going down 1. So that would give us a -1. And then to go from 0 to 2, we're increasing 2. So our slope would be a -1/2. Now next, in conjunction with this, -1 to 2, you know you're going 3 places. And then from 0 to 1, you know you're going 1 place. So our slope here would be 3 over 1, which is also just 3. Now it says, note, in the table of values for a linear equation, if there is a constant increase or decrease in the x values, then there will also be a constant increase or decrease in the y values, which we just went over above here. Furthermore, for a linear equation, if x increases by 1, then y increases by the slope. Example 6, decide whether there is a line that passes through every point in the table. If so, find the slope of that line. If not, decide whether there is a line that comes close to every point in the table. Okay, now, what we could do here is like we did up above. From 5 to 2, we go down 3. So we know from 5 to 2, we go down 3. So we went down to -3. Now let's look here, from 2 to -1, it goes down to -3. And from -1 to -4, it goes down to -3. So we know as far as our rise, it's -3. Now when we go here, from 0 to 4 is 4, from 4 to 8 is 4, and from 8 to 12 is 4. So we know that our run is a +4. So our slope, we'll put yes first. And then our slope will be a -3/4. Now this next case, from 5 to 7, we went up 2. From 7 to 2, we went to -5. So we know that that is no. We don't even have to check the x values. So we could say they're not even close. And then finally, -10 and -5, we know that increased by 5. From -5 to -1, that was only increased by 4. So it's no, but they are close. But it's still a no. So that is it from section 1.4.